19 months in the works, and now the cast of Un peu partout, Here and There, is presenting their work here at the Théâtre Cercle Molière in St. Boniface. 6 incredible young actors are presenting a coming-of-age story that doesn't really have any answers, and maybe it shouldn't. I'm sitting here with a couple of the stars of Here and There. Perhaps you can start by introducing yourself to the Classic 107 audience.
Absolutely. My name is Lizzie Rochon, and I play Isabelle in the play.
My name is Mikael Beaudry, and I play the taxi driver in the play.
Mikael, maybe I'll start with you to ask, this has been such a long time in the making for the 6 of you. Maybe you can take me back to where it all began. What was the first day in the creative room like for all of you?
Yeah, for sure. So since it's been a long time, I don't remember exactly what we did, but I know one of my first memories is that we were all in this room, actually, and I think our director made a circle with the chairs, and then he told us to stand up on the chairs and do this like exercise. I don't remember what we did, but I remember there was chairs, we were standing on it, and we were like going from chair to chair, introducing ourselves, and then talking about, I think it was our middle name.
Okay.
I don't know, but it was very theatery, very weird, but I think it goes perfectly with this play.
How did you end up in this room in the first place, standing on a chair and talking about your middle name? What brought you into this project in the first place?
Yeah, so there's this project by the Théâtre Cercle Molière called the Festival Théâtre Jeunesse, and it's a project where a bunch of schools, francophone schools or schools, immersion schools, they come and they make a play, and then they present it, and then we have like our little own like Oscars night where they give awards to the best actors and then the best play finally. And yeah, our director, Philippe Abec, was there, and he was doing a little promotion, and then we talked, and I was like, oh, why not? Like, this is a great professional experience that I could do.
Fantastic. Lizzie, how about you? How did you get involved in this production in the first place, and what were your first impressions of standing on a chair and talking about your middle name?
So Philippe Abec was actually my high school teacher. So I met him when I was in grade 9. I worked with him on multiple shows, and one especially in Festival Théâtre Jeunesse. So I was very used to these standing on chairs, middle names kind of games. But yeah, so then I'd been out of high school for a year. I was in university, and he was announcing this project, and he was like, I would love if you applied. And yeah, I love working with him, and so I did, and then I was here. And yeah, I could tell that they were all a little more weirded out by these things than I was. But I was like, you'll get there, you'll get there.
So after you've stepped down from the chairs, what is the first process of putting Un peu partout to first paper and then to stage? First of all, how do you settle on this story, and how do you go about translating it over the last 19 months?
So the first thing we did is we talked about like what matters to us. What if this is like the first thing, if this is a very unique kind of project where it's a bunch of young people getting together to make a story and tell it, what is the most important thing that we can say? What do we want to say and share? And so we started talking about the themes and topics that really matter to us. So then the things that came up were like, the first thing that came to mind is like young people being well represented in theater, but also like indecision and being a young person that doesn't know, like, I don't know what I'm going to do with my life, and I want to make the right decision, but what if it's the wrong decision? And all of those things. So we kind of I feel like we had like big posters, and we just had like big idea bubbles and stuff. And then from there, we started to, okay, so what kind of story do we want to tell? How do we take these themes and make them into a character and a story?
Mikael, how then do you take those poster boards and turn them into a script and a cast and a set of stage directions? What does that look like as you guys are going along?
Well, it was a very long process, but what we did is that he would put us in like little groups of 2 or 3, and then he would be like, okay, let's say we're going to write a scene with Isabelle, the main character, and her boyfriend. What would that look like? So then for that part, we went into little groups, and then we had this like little improv thing where one of us was Isabelle, and then the other one was the boyfriend, and we just kind of acted out how we saw in our minds that scene kind of go. And then our director, Philippe Abec, he took all of these ideas, and then he helped us write those scenes. And then in other scenes, like, it would just be like, okay, write a part of the script that you think it would be, and then he would just take those ideas again, or just take the script. Like, a lot of the script is just us, what we wrote in our first pages, which is crazy. And then, yeah, just make it for the scene. And
I can't even imagine what it'd be like to try and edit yourselves and these amazing yet very large ideas that you all are trying to wrestle with. What is that process like when you're in the room and you're saying, you know what, I don't know about that line. How, like, especially if it's your first time creating theater, I would imagine also that that's something that can maybe be a little bit like, oh, that's like my baby. My line's getting cut out of the show. What is that? What does that feel like? And how did that play out in the room for you all? It seems like you all still have like a ton of love for each other and in the way that you create this.
Yeah, for sure. So we kind of assigned the characters which we would play like very, very early on in the writing process. So that when we were writing these lines, some of us were like, oh, like, I think that this character would say this, because they kind of like appropriated the character in a way. So sometimes, like, when there was, like, for me, I play the taxi driver, and he says a lot of very philosophical, like, things.
Yeah, he does.
So there was a lot of, like, stuff we had to cut out because, like, does this even make sense when I say it? Or is this the right word? Sometimes we would spend, like, an hour or 2, like, on, like, a singular line, just, like, trying to figure out, like, what words to use, and then the double entendre, like, what does that do? And all of these things that go into writing. So it was a very long process.
I should say. Lizzie, maybe back to you to say that you are playing the central character of this production, Isabelle. Without giving too much away to the folks who have not seen Un peu partout yet, how would you describe Isabelle, and how maybe has her character evolved over the last 19 months?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing about Isabelle is that she is so indecisive, like so many young people, and she just can't make a decision because she wants to know it's the right decision, and she wants to know that everyone will still care about her and, like, be her friend, be her boyfriend, be her sister, and, like, without making the wrong decision. And so she's really scared, but she has so much, like, desire and dreams, and yeah, I don't know. It's really fun to play. She never leaves the stage.
Right.
So she never is not panicked and stressed and confused. So I also am never not panicked and stressed and confused. But yeah,
it's a long time to not be panicked.
Yeah.
And stressed and all of that. Like, to feel all those emotions for as long as that show runs. How do you manage those emotions when you're on stage, and how you're looking at a pretty decent run here of shows as well? How do you manage those emotions?
I think I was describing it to someone a while back, and I was saying, like, I have a very, very good grasp that, like, Isabelle is not me, and I'm not Isabelle. But at the same time, it's like Isabelle is using my emotions to tell her story and have her emotions. And so a lot of it is, like, rediscovering things for the first time. So listening to what people are saying and then being like, oh my gosh, I'm having my first real reaction to that. And like, why would that person say that to me? And yeah, and then, I mean, for, like, when I go off stage, I do a shot of M&Ms, and I'm like, that's my, like, okay, now I'm not Isabelle anymore, and her emotions are on the stage.
A shot shot of M&Ms or
M&Ms.
actual
No, M&Ms.
Okay, good.
M&Ms for sure.
Good. Just double checking. Mikael, you mentioned you were playing the taxi driver in this production, and it's striking as all these other characters are wrestling with these big questions about youth representation and what you want to do with your lives. You're kind of the character who gets to consistently be the funny, sort of philosophical breaker in all of this. What's that like to be that sort of outlying character where you get the fun comedic lines as opposed to the struggles and the wrestling with generational angst that everybody else wears on their sleeve?
I have to be honest, like, when I first learned that I was going to play this, like, comedic character, I was a little bummed just because...
Really?
Yes, just because I love the emotional depth in all of the other characters.
Sure.
And then here I am wearing, like, yellow shorts on the stage.
Right.
And checkered patterns all over. But, like right now, I think I've grown to really like this character just because all the things he says is kind of like things that Isabelle thinks of too,
Right.
and that everybody else should think of or do think of. And although, like, at first I didn't really see this emotional depth in his character, right now, just the way that I have appropriated this character, I feel like there is this sort of emotional depth, but not necessarily in his character, but more in the relationship that he and Isabelle share.
Sure. That makes sense. This is about to open, this show, after 19 months of work, this show that showcases the existential struggles of people who are leaving their teenage years and they're having to decide what to do with their lives. You are both, and the whole cast is in that season yourselves. Has this experience brought you any, I don't know, clarity as to what you want to do with your lives? Or conversely, has it made it maybe more, has it made you more comfortable in the not knowing?
That's a very interesting question. I actually have thought of this a lot, and this whole like thing of indecision and going or staying. For me, I've always wanted to leave. I don't know why. I've always had this like feeling that I was gonna leave Manitoba. I was gonna go to like Quebec or like New York or I don't know, like France, and then do a bunch of things and then find myself there.
Sure.
But I feel like with this project, I've figured out that there is so much love and affection here, and then there's so much worth in our little Manitoba, our little friendly Manitoba.
Yeah.
And my relationships with my friends and my parents, I feel like I need to like cherish these. So I have decided that. Well, no, I haven't decided yet, but because we never really decide.
Yeah.
But I think that I want to stay now just to feel those relationships a little bit more and to see what is here and how I can grow from here before going elsewhere.
Very interesting. What about you? For you, Lizzie, what has this show taught you about what the future might hold?
I think, so when I started this show, I was going into my second year of university. And since like grade 11, I was like, I'm going to go get a music education degree and be a music teacher. And I was like so sure for like so long. And then it was during this process, not necessarily because of, but during this process that I started to question that and go through this like, I don't know what I'm going to do, but what if, I need to know now. And like so much fear and like just moments of like, you know, being with like my mom, like, I'm like, what am I going to do? I can't make a decision and it's all going to be the worst. And I think it's like one of the biggest things that I've had to learn, partly through this play, partly through like the rest of my life, is like that you never know if it's the right decision. You never know if it's the one that's going to lead to the least regrets. And you just have to like keep going, and and there's no answers, and it's okay if it's not sure. And like this one decision to leave or stay or be this profession or do this one, like that's not going to determine the rest of my future. Like it's not going to determine every decision after that. And I think that's like a lie that young people believe.
The show opens tomorrow night. What do you think you're going to be feeling on Wednesday night as this production at long last takes the stage?
So much joy. Yeah, I'm really excited. I'm really, really proud of what we've made.
Yeah.
And I'm just so excited for people to see it and have reactions to it.
When those people see it, Mikael, what do you hope audiences take away from having seen this project that you've worked so hard on?
I think I wanted them to take away that, like, it's never too late. Like, you can always do what you want, and you still have the chance to really pursue your dreams or be, and that you don't need to think about all of these other things, and that it's just, you just need to be and live your life and see where it takes you, and you don't have to really think about what would go wrong.
Yeah. Congratulations to both of you on an incredible production, and all the best for the run.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.